Hello, my lovelies. It seems we meet again in this space, combining our time, momentum, and our energetic fields. Today, I wanted to come to you yet again to bring into the awareness of a new topic of today's podcast. So, welcome. Thank you for joining me in this space. And thank you for being the incredible you that you are and that you always will be. As far as today's topic, I'd like to touch on something that maybe hits a little bit deeper, maybe hits a little bit more uncomfortable zones of existence, and that maybe, hopefully, will stimulate a thought pattern of processes to help better define what this life is, why we take it for granted, and why so often we find ourselves in loops. Now, with that being said, before we get started, I want to ask that you please make sure that you follow me here in this space by subscribing to me here on Spotify, if that is how you are listening. And if you are watching me, even though there is nothing to watch, because this is actually it's not the video, it's only audio, so I do apologize for that. But I am finding that for my podcast, it's a lot more comfortable and easier for me to just speak without having to worry about the physical presence of the matter at hand, of you seeing me. So if that's something that you're not into, I apologize. But definitely make sure that you are following me and subscribed on YouTube, because I do, however, have other content that I am in and that I am showing myself on, and that touches on different matters as well. So most definitely make sure you are following me in all of my spaces. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Spotify, Anchor. Let's see. Is there anything else? Maybe those are all. Maybe they're not. But you can find me on all platforms at Terrestrial Aura, in which I am on. So most definitely go check me out and find me in those spaces. All right, guys, so the talk of the day, the talk of the hour that I will be bringing to this podcast is breaking loops and cycles, and what cycles are meant for us to actually go through and fill, and what cycles are for us to completely leave. There's so many things in life that we find ourselves repeating, like an endless web of inner workings, of time-space that we find ourselves in the space of, constantly shattering ourselves, those around us, and everything involved. And now these loops can come in different ways. These loops can come as beautiful blessings that teach us lessons. These loops can come as frivolous acts of life that seem meaningless. But the thing is, everything has a meaning, because everything carries a frequency. Everything carries a resonance. Everything carries an energy. So when we start to perceive life in this way, we start to realize that our perception of life is what creates these loops. The way that we feel about the life that we live is what creates these loops. And the only way to escape a loop that you no longer want, because you know it is not serving you, is bringing awareness to the energy of what that is, and awareness of how you feel. How does it make you feel? What is it that you find yourself so often doing that maybe isn't the best for you? Maybe is something that you know is holding you back from your fullest potential, yet you fall back into the energy of its pattern because it seems comfortable. Now with this, it can be something as simple as eating unhealthy. It could be something as simple as a relationship. It could be something as complex as not doing the things that you are required to move you into your highest energy of yourself. Because everything matters differently. Everything equivalently factors into the essence of you. When we accept this, we see that these things that we are doing, these patterns that we are creating, they are literally aspects of ourselves that we are holding on to, oftentimes from past lives, oftentimes from past memories of our lives that we live here. And the question is the loop that you find yourself in serving your highest good, or is it serving you, leaving you malnourished, Is it leaving you feeling empty, stagnant, or is it helping you grow? You know, not all loops are bad loops, and that is the thing. Sometimes, even in fact, things can be perceived as something very negative and play the highest role in outcome to what you need. Because that is exactly how life works. Sometimes the most horrific situations can be the most blessing in disguise. Sometimes we find ourselves repeating patterns, not because we necessarily need to break them, but instead we need to recognize them and see them for what they're worth and why we are repeating these cycles. What is pulling us to the energy of something that is repeating in our lives, whether it be a karmic debt, whether it be a blessing? What is the energy entailing? Is this a part of you, or is this a part of you that exists that actually doesn't belong to you? Many times we are repeating cycles and regurgitating this information of ourselves over and over because we've accepted it, because it's been placed upon us. And necessarily, it's not ours. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's ours. It doesn't mean that it's our baggage, but instead we claim the baggage of others because it helps identify ourselves with something versus feeling nothing at all. There are some people in this world who intentionally will be out there to hurt you. But just as that is being said, there are also people that are intentionally out there that will do good, that will love you, and their purest intention is nothing but to love you. And many times we get confused as to which is where and which is what, because we've been hurt so many times in our past that it confuses us. And because of this, it can block love, it can block friendships, it can block progressions in life, it can block so many things. So the thing is that must be done is self-identifying with the situations that we find ourselves in, unwrapping them, embedding them, and loving them. I know it's not the easiest to always love the aspects of ourselves that we feel that are the hardest to conquer, that we feel are the most hard to overcome. But the thing is, what we don't overcome, we become the undercurrent of. So it's a choice. What do you want? Do you want something in your life that will keep sweeping you under, making you feel it so deeply that it hurts and it stings to touch? Or do you want to tend to the wound of yourself, realizing that it is just that, a wound, and wounds can be healed with proper treatment, some worse than others, some lighter than others, but they can be healed. What is your wound? What is your loop? I ask you this to stimulate you into the thought of your processes once more, to look at your shadow, to look at yourself and see what it is creating a cycle that you are not able to move out from. When you're able to identify whatever the cycle may be, you are also able to identify the strength it takes to release. We are all such powerful beings with incredible minds. And sometimes we will find that we get stagnant. We become dormant because of life situations that have led us on the road that we are on. This doesn't make us a bad person. It doesn't make us bad energy. It doesn't make us anything less than what we want to be. It's simply acknowledging the clarity of ourselves, realizing that that is the issue, that is the core of a problem, that is the core of the essence of who you are that is helping you possibly. Because as I mentioned before, not all loops are bad loops, but the thing is, a loop must be bent in order to become infinity. In order for a loop to be able to see itself, it must touch itself. It must cross itself. It must bend. It must bend to itself. And when you take that energy and you bend it to itself, that is when you can commune with yourself, because you're no longer in a loop, but instead you're in this beautiful energy of twists and turns that always moves, seeing itself, looking at itself, touching itself, feeling itself, accepting itself. I'm not here to talk about any specific loop or any specific pattern that I have or that you have. All I am here to do is plant a seed in your mind to remind you that you are not alone, and whatever you are facing, you will conquer. And whatever you are going through, you will move through. Undoubtedly you will. But it's all a matter of you facing whatever that energy is. Whatever that energy is that it is bringing to you to show you you. That self-recognition will be the key. And the confession to yourself of realizing exactly what it is will be the doorway that you open to step in and see exactly what it means to you and how it is impacting your life. This world is full of crazy situations. Some people have objectives against you, and some are just simply being. Some are here to help. It's a matter of finding the self-help within yourself and accepting the help from others that do have pure intentions. Learning how to trust, learning how to be, and learning how to see. Tapping into the highest frequency of your own energy. All right, guys. As you know, these podcasts are literally just gateways, portals, seeds that I like to plant to you for you to water, nourish, and take care of as you wish. So if you would, take this information, sit with it, feel it, and find out what it means for you. It will not mean the same thing for everyone, but it will mean something different for you than it does for me. And it will matter in a way of your own full transparency. So guys, that concludes our message for today. of my seed implanting into your mind so you can look at yourself, not only facing your shadows, but facing what serves you highly and what serves you low. Because there's always an algorithm that you can find, because as above, so below. It's about finding the middle line, finding the balance, finding the point of zero marking, the ohm between the time and the space that you create within yourself. Finding out who you really are to be the truest version of you. Breaking the patterns of what is not for you by accepting that you have been in the loop of yourself and seeing what you want to do about that. Do you want to continue moving in this loop, or do you want to bend it, facing yourself, becoming the infinite version of you? No one can make this decision for you, nor should they, because it is all up to you and what you choose. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening. And again, do not forget to follow me on all of my social media platforms under Terrestrial Aura, which include TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor. And I hope to see you in all of my spaces. And I hope to see you living as the best version of you, breaking cycles and patterns that no longer serve you, rising into your highest self. You are loved and you are appreciated in this space and all of my spaces. Thank you for being you, and I will be back soon. So until we meet again, soul friends, I love you.